The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 837. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is the founder of Kaya Services, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Yona Signo. Yona, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Sheena, for having me. My name is Yona Signo. I am a mum of two little ones, wife and daughter to such supportive husband and parents. I'm also a multipreneur, so I am the founder and CEO of Kaya Services, Empowered Virtual Services, Vision Outsourcing, and XOX SAS. I'm also a published author and a Wellbeing Boost facilitator, and I'm super excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Yona, what's your cultural background?
I am Filipino.
Thanks for sharing that. And Yona, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Okay, the first quote that came to mind is a quote by Maya Angelou. It's one of my favorite quotes. For me, it exudes confidence, and it's, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." I absolutely love that quote. I really think, it really shows that when you're being yourself and you do so with integrity and kindness, I think, you just can't go wrong.
I love that quote. And it's true, right? Confidence is also showing up as your authentic self, which is hard to do at times, of course, right? Especially living in the world of social media when everything is filtered to a T, right? We always feel like we're not enough. And so to just even show up as our true selves takes a lot of courage and confidence to go out there and do it. So I really love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Confidence for me is really believing in yourself and your abilities, and really wholeheartedly believing in yourself in mind, body, and spirit. I think that would be the definition for self-confidence.
I like that you mentioned believing in your abilities, right? Because as women, especially Asian women, right, we tend not to believe in our abilities. We are so much more capable than we realize, but we tend to overthink everything and overplan, and something still holds us back, right? And that's also because of our upbringing, right? All our life, we've been told to do as you're told, never make any noise, just do one way, take that one route of living, not realizing that really hurts us, right? When something wrong happens to us, we're told to just keep it to ourselves. And that's why our mental health deteriorates, because we feel like we need an outlet to let it out, which is what we're supposed to do, versus keeping everything in. So I just love that you mentioned believing in your abilities, because I want people to realize they are so capable of going out there and doing their own thing, forging their own path. And sometimes you just need a reminder and a support system that can help you do that. So thanks for sharing that. And Yona, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I think the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about that particular thing, it's, for me, I think it wasn't about, I'm sure it relates closely to that self-confidence, but I was really one of those people that never really spoke about my achievements. Again, it comes down to that upbringing, right? Because I would always be told that, not to be boastful or not to be a show-off or anything like that. But I think I took it too far, to the point where I didn't actually share anything of my achievements. And so realizing later on in life, and this is just a recent discovery, where I'm not being boastful because I'm speaking about fact. So if I've won something or if I've achieved something, it's not that I can actually share that and be proud of it. And it's not me showing off about it. It's actually because I actually did achieve that. And so just that actual thought, or just that change in the way I looked at things, it was just like, wow. So I was able to share more about myself, because believe it or not, I never actually spoke about my businesses. I never spoke about all of these things that I was doing. It was really just about me just flying under the radar, because that's what I was always used to. So just that change in that mindset, and thinking to myself, if you tell people about this, then it will actually help your purpose and your passion.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's something we all go through, right? Learning to share our achievements. It's something that's not typical for us to do. Even when we're in business for ourselves, right? We're told so many times, don't share what you're doing. Don't boast about anything. Don't be so showy. Don't be so out there, right? But it's like, how are you supposed to make money and a living if you can't share about what you're doing? And this happens all too often. That's why women's confidence become low, because they feel like if they share something, they're doing something wrong. But we have to go out there and share our stories, share our achievements, not because it makes us feel good, but we also need to show, our current and future generations what's possible for themselves. When they see, a mother like you who won an award, who has all these achievements, they can realize as a mother, they can go out there and do something of their own. They can go out there and have a business. They can go out there and choose the life that they want to live. So it's not just about sharing your achievements. It's something more for us for sure, because as women, we don't share as much, right? And because we don't share as much, we just feel like we're not good enough. And we have to share it so we can show others what's possible. That's basically it. I remember being at dinner with a bunch of ladies last month. And one thing we realized is that we don't have enough female mentors, right? Most of the time our mentors are male. And so this is another reason why we have to go out there and share what we do, share our stories, share our achievements, so we can have more women mentoring women, right? So we can break the cycles that we go through. So what was that point in your life, especially going out there and doing something for yourself, forging your own path, creating your business? I know it's not always typical for Asian women to go out there and create a business, especially when families are like, what are you doing? You had a stable job. Is this just a hobby for you? Like, when are you going to go back to your job? When was that point in your life when you realized, I could do this and I'm just going to make it happen?
Well, I must say, right, that I've actually been really blessed with a really supportive husband and parents. And so that journey to decide on going, to start a business wasn't as hard for me because I had their backing. And it was really one of those things where, because I was deciding whether I should start a business or go back to the corporate world. This is when my daughter just turned 1. And so they said, well, you've got your background in IT and project management and service management. You can actually try something. And at the time when we were doing research in terms of, what were the trends in technology and business, and outsourcing and virtual assistants at the time was, something that was, something that people and business owners were really looking at. And so that's when I decided to go down that path. But that decision, because my life is really surrounded about family, like with Filipinos, it's family, right? And so just having that open discussion with them and just knowing that they supported me through that, it also boosted my confidence, knowing that, I knew that this journey wasn't going to be on my own. And so that was really, that was pivotal. And so making that decision, because they both even said that, like, whatever happens, it's okay. Like, because this is new for me, completely new for me. I was always working for a university. And so this was really going to be a big learning curve. But, just knowing that I had their support was, that boost to just keep going. It was just one of those things that I think was really helpful. And I think that I owe that to, I think my parents have actually been very different in the sense of really always being supportive. And that's why I always say how supportive my parents are, because, it hasn't been as typical as one would think. But I know there are some things like, the sharing and being a show off and things like that, that's been common. But for the most part, I've been blessed in that sense.
I love it. I know sometimes it's hard to get that support, right? Especially coming from a culture where we're not supposed to ask for help. It's going to look too weak, or we're asking for a handout. But that support is so important, right? It made your decision a lot easier because someone had your back, right? And not all of us have that, especially for women entrepreneurs, right? We always feel like we're alone. We always feel like we have to work 100 times harder, prove to ourselves 100 times more than others because we don't have that support. And that's why support systems like this podcast and having groups and creating books is so important, because if you don't have that family support or your friend support, at least you have this as a support. At least there's stories that you could hear where they were in the same situation as you, but were able to come out of it. And so I always tell people there's no shame in asking for help, because actually asking for help is what will help you build you up faster, right? When you do things together versus doing everything by yourself. So I really love that answer. And, because of that, what's your life been like now?
Well, I think for me, I always say, just touching on what you just said, I always talk about openly how it's so important for each individual to have a support circle. So whether it's a mentor or if it's not your family or your friends, but you know that you have these individuals around you that you can speak to truthfully. Not the ones that will just sugarcoat things, but the ones that you can actually speak to and discuss things, brainstorm ideas. And then when you're able to add podcasts like this and as well as books, that's just, they're just icing on the cake where you're able to really gain and learn more about yourself, more about other people's experiences, which then makes your life richer because of all of those things that you learn. But, for me, it's really been one of the things that I've decided for myself is that now that as a parent, as a mother, I really want to be a good example for my children, for my daughter and my son. And I think it's one of those things that everything that I do now, I have that in mind. And it's one of those things where I think to myself, what we do today and the seeds that I'm planting today is really going to be something that it will grow for their future. And so it's not just, and I don't just do it for my kids because it's also something that's fulfilling for me too, knowing that I am going to be a part of making their future brighter.
No worries. And it makes a huge difference when you're doing it for someone that's bigger than you, right? Your kids, right? You want to have a better future for them. You want to set them up so that they don't have to go through what you went through back then, right? And so, I mean, even something is that everyone can relate to because all mothers want to do something for their kids, right? And so they can come to you and be like, what did you do to set your kids up and things like that. So I love that you mentioned that. And to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
Back yourself 100%. We need to look within ourselves first before we can, ask others. Believe in yourself and back yourself in everything that you do. And to add to that, do so with integrity. And I think, if we're able to do these things and able to sleep at night, I think we'll be okay. And so, yeah, for me, just back yourself and do it with integrity.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned doing things with integrity because I think that's so important. Sometimes we get blinded by the money, right? And we tend to do things that we're not proud of or that is just unethical or immoral. And we have to take a step back and realize, what would be the long-term consequences when you do this, right? Of course, we live in a world where we always want short-term gain or, fast results. But sometimes we need to step back and realize just because I don't have the results now doesn't mean it won't happen later on. And for me, I'd rather do it with integrity than, doing it the wrong way. So I really love that you mentioned that. And I just wanted to say thank you. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you, what you do, or if they need some of your services, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on Instagram, Yona Signo. I'm also on LinkedIn, Yona Signo. And I've also got a website, yonasigno.com. So all of my businesses can be found there. So yeah, I look forward to connecting with like-minded individuals. Thank you so much, Sheena, for having me.
Thank you. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Yona, you can also head on over to the selfconfidence.com and search for Yona's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Yona today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Yona.
Thank you, Sheena. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks again. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.